I was standing at the altar, dressed in a tuxedo that felt more like a straitjacket than formal wear. The church was filled with whispers and anticipation, but all I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. Beside me, my best man, Jamie, leaned in and whispered, "You don't have to do this, you know. It's not too late to tell the truth." I looked at him, my eyes filled with a mix of fear and desperation. He knew my secret, the one I had been hiding from everyone, even myself. I was gay, and I was about to marry a woman who deserved more than a lie. The organ music swelled, and the doors at the end of the aisle opened. There she was, beautiful and radiant, but all I could feel was a sense of dread. Each step she took towards me felt like a countdown to a life sentence. I looked at Jamie, his eyes steady and sure. He had always been my rock, my confidant, the one person who knew the real me. He had been there when I came out to my parents, who had reacted with shock and disapproval. He had been there when I tried to be the good son and date women, only to feel more lost and confused. And he was there now, offering me a lifeline, a chance to be true to myself. As the minister began to speak, I felt a wave of panic rise within me. I looked at my bride, her eyes filled with love and trust, and I knew I couldn't do it. I couldn't live this lie any longer. I turned to Jamie, his eyes urging me to be brave, to be true. And then, in a moment of sheer insanity, I did something that would change everything. I reached out, taking Jamie's hand in mine. The church fell silent, the air thick with shock and disbelief. I turned to my bride, her eyes wide with confusion and hurt. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice choked with emotion. "I can't do this. I can't live this lie anymore." And with that, I turned and walked out of the church, Jamie's hand still in mine, leaving behind a storm of whispers and gasps. That moment, as crazy and unexpected as it was the moment I realized he loved me. Jamie had always been there, steady and sure, but it was in that moment, as we walked away from the life I had been pretending to want, that I saw the love in his eyes. It was a love that was fierce and true, a love that was worth fighting for, and it was the best moment of my life. But little did I know, that moment was just the beginning of a journey that would be filled with more twists and turns than I ever could have imagined. As Jamie and I stepped out of the church, the cool air hit my face, a stark contrast to the stifling atmosphere we had just left behind. The world outside seemed brighter, more vivid, as if I was seeing it for the first time. We walked in silence for a few blocks, our hands still clasped tightly together, until we reached a small, quiet park. We sat down on a bench, the reality of what had just happened slowly sinking in. I turned to Jamie, his eyes reflecting the same mix of emotions I was feeling: relief, fear, exhilaration. "Jamie, I don't know what to say," I began, my voice shaky. "I never meant for any of this to happen. I never wanted to hurt anyone." Jamie squeezed my hand, his voice steady and sure. "Ethan, you didn't do anything wrong. You were just trying to live up to everyone else's expectations, but you deserve to live your truth, to be happy." I looked into his eyes, seeing the love and support that had always been there. "Jamie, that moment in the church, I saw the way you looked at me, and I realized I think I've always known, but I was too afraid to admit it. I love you, Jamie. I love you more than just a friend. I love you like I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Jamie's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment he was silent. Then a slow smile spread across his face. "Ethan, I've been in love with you for years. I've been waiting, hoping that you would see it too. But I didn't want to push you, to pressure you into anything. I wanted you to find your own way in your own time." I felt a rush of emotions, joy, relief, love. I leaned in, pressing my forehead against his. Jamie, I'm so sorry it took me this long to see it, but I see it now. I see you, and I want to be with you openly, honestly. But just as I was about to kiss him, to seal this newfound declaration of love, my phone rang. I looked down, seeing my mother's name flashing on the screen. I knew I had to face this, to face the consequences of my actions. I answered the call, bracing myself for the storm that was about to come. Ethan, what have you done? My mother's voice was a mix of anger and disappointment. How could you humiliate us like this? How could you humiliate her like this? I took a deep breath, Jamie's hand still in mine, giving me the strength I needed. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the pain I've caused, for the lies I've told. But I can't live this lie anymore. I can't be someone I'm not. I love Jamie, Mom. I always have. And I choose him. I choose to live my truth, even if it means disappointing you. There was a long pause, and then, to my surprise, my mother's voice softened. Ethan, I didn't realize, I didn't understand, but I see it now. I see the love between you two, and I want you to be happy, Ethan. I want you to live your truth, even if it's not the truth I expected. Tears filled my eyes as I listened to my mother's words. I had expected anger, disapproval, but not this understanding, this acceptance. It was a twist I never saw coming, a twist that made this moment even more profound. As I hung up the phone, I turned to Jamie, his eyes filled with love and pride. I knew in that moment that we were ready to face whatever came next, together. But little did I know, our journey was about to take another unexpected turn, one that would test our love in ways we never imagined. With my mother's unexpected acceptance ringing in my ears, Jamie and I walked back to his apartment, our hands still entwined, our hearts lighter than they had been in years. As we entered the familiar space, I felt a sense of homecoming, a sense of belonging. This was where I was meant to be, with Jamie, living our truth openly and honestly. We sat down on the couch, our bodies close, our hearts beating in sync. I turned to Jamie, my voice filled with emotion. Jamie, I want to be with you. I want to build a life with you, but I need to make things right. I need to apologize to her, to explain. Jamie nodded, understanding in his eyes. Ethan, you need to do what feels right for you. I'll be here, supporting you every step of the way. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I knew would be a difficult conversation. I dialed her number, my heart pounding in my chest. She answered on the second ring, her voice quiet and reserved. Ethan, she said, her voice devoid of the warmth it usually held. I'm so sorry, I began, my voice choked with emotion. I never meant to hurt you, to humiliate you. I was just so confused, so lost. I thought I could be the person everyone wanted me to be, but I can't live this lie anymore. There was a long pause, and then she spoke, her voice steady and sure. Ethan, I knew, deep down I knew something wasn't right. I saw the way you looked at Jamie, the way your eyes lit up when he was around. I saw the love between you two, even if you couldn't see it yourself. I was stunned. She had known. She had seen the love between Jamie and me, even when I was too afraid to admit it myself. But Ethan, she continued, her voice softening, I want you to be happy. I want you to live your truth, to be with the person you love. And if that person is Jamie, then I support you. I support both of you. Tears filled my eyes as I listened to her words. I had expected anger, hurt, resentment. But what I got was understanding, acceptance, love. It was a twist I never saw coming, a twist that made this journey even more profound. As I hung up the phone, I turned to Jamie, his eyes filled with love and pride. She knows, Jamie. She's known all along, and she supports us. She wants us to be happy. Jamie pulled me into a tight hug, his voice filled with emotion. Ethan, we're so lucky. We have the support, the love of the people who matter most. And now we can build a life together, openly, honestly. But just as we were starting to feel like everything was falling into place, life threw us another curveball. A few days later, as we were walking through the city, hand in hand, we bumped into an old friend of Jamie's. His name was Lucas, and he had been a part of Jamie's life before I had come into the picture. As we caught up, I could see the tension in Jamie's eyes, the unspoken history between them. Lucas turned to me, his eyes filled with a mix of curiosity and challenge. "So, you're the one who finally made Jamie see the light, huh?" I looked at Jamie, seeing the discomfort in his eyes. I knew there was more to this story, more to this history, and I was determined to find out what it was. Little did I know, the truth would test our love in ways I never imagined, forcing us to confront our pasts and fight for our future. As Lucas walked away, I turned to Jamie, his eyes avoiding mine. "Jamie, what was that about?" I asked, my voice filled with concern. "What history do you have with Lucas?" Jamie sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Ethan, Lucas and I, we have a complicated past. We were together once a long time ago, but it ended badly and we haven't spoken in years. Until now." I felt a pang of jealousy, a knot forming in my stomach. But I also saw the pain in Jamie's eyes, the unresolved emotions that were clearly still lingering. I took his hand, squeezing it gently. "Jamie, you need to talk about this. You need to tell me what happened." Jamie looked into my eyes, his voice filled with a mix of sadness and regret. "Ethan, Lucas and I were in love, or at least I thought we were. But he was struggling with his own demons, his own fears. He wasn't ready to live openly, to be true to himself. And in the end, he pushed me away, broke my heart." I listened, my heart aching for Jamie, for the pain he had gone through. I could see the parallels between Lucas's story and my own, the fear and the struggle to live openly and honestly. But I also saw the difference, the growth, the acceptance that Jamie and I had found in each other. "Jamie, I'm so sorry," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "I'm sorry that you had to go through that you had to face that pain alone. But you're not alone anymore, you have me, and we'll face whatever comes our way together." Jamie looked into my eyes, his voice steady and sure. "Ethan, I know, and I'm so grateful for you for us. But seeing Lucas today, it brought back all those old feelings, all those old fears. And I need to confront them, to face them head on." I nodded, understanding in my eyes. "Jamie, what do you need to do? How can I support you?" Jamie took a deep breath, his voice filled with determination. "I need to talk to Lucas. I need to confront our past to find closure, and I need you to be there with me, supporting me, loving me." I squeezed his hand, my voice filled with love and support. "Jamie, I'll be there every step of the way. Whatever you need, whatever you're facing, we'll face it together." And so, we found ourselves standing in front of Lucas's apartment, our hands entwined, our hearts beating in sync. As we knocked on the door, I could feel the tension, the unspoken emotions that were about to be confronted. But I also felt a sense of strength, of unity, of love. Together, Jamie and I were ready to face whatever came our way. As the door opened, Lucas stood there, his eyes filled with a mix of surprise and apprehension. He looked at Jamie, then at me, then back at Jamie. "Jamie, Ethan, what are you doing here?" Jamie took a deep breath, his voice steady and sure. "Lucas, we need to talk. We need to confront our past to find closure, and we need to do it together, openly, honestly." Lucas nodded, understanding in his eyes. He stepped aside, letting us into his apartment. As we sat down, the air thick with tension, I knew that this conversation would be difficult, emotional, raw. But I also knew that it was necessary, that it was a step towards healing, towards growth, towards a future filled with love and authenticity. And so, with Jamie by my side, I was ready to face whatever came next, ready to support him, to love him, to be his rock, just as he had always been mine. As we sat in Lucas's living room, the air thick with tension and unspoken emotions, I could feel Jamie's hand trembling in mine. I gave it a reassuring squeeze, letting him know that I was there, that we were in this together. Lucas sat across from us, his eyes filled with a mix of apprehension and resignation. Jamie took a deep breath, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside him. "Lucas, I need to talk about what happened between us. I need to understand, to find closure." Lucas nodded, his voice soft. "Jamie, I owe you an explanation. I owe you the truth." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "When we were together, I was struggling. I was scared, terrified of what people would think, of what my family would say. I was living in fear, and I took it out on you. I pushed you away because I couldn't face my own truth." Jamie listened, his eyes filled with a mix of sadness and understanding. "Lucas, I get it. I understand the fear, the struggle. I've been there too, but I need you to know that what you did, it hurt me. It broke me." Lucas looked into Jamie's eyes, his voice filled with regret. "I know, Jamie, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for the pain I caused you, for the love I threw away. But I want you to know I've changed. I've grown. I've faced my fears, and I'm living my truth now, openly, honestly." I watched as Jamie processed Lucas's words, seeing the healing, the forgiveness in his eyes. I could see the weight of the past lifting, the chains of unresolved emotions breaking. It was a profound moment, a moment of growth, of understanding, of love. Jamie turned to me, his eyes filled with love and gratitude. "Ethan, thank you. Thank you for being here, for supporting me, for loving me. You've given me the strength to face my past, to find closure, to heal." I smiled, my heart filled with love. "Jamie, I'll always be here. I'll always support you, love you, be your rock, just as you've always been mine." As we stood up to leave, Lucas reached out, taking Jamie's hand. "Jamie, I wish you both the best. I wish you a life filled with love, with authenticity, with happiness. You deserve it. You both do." We walked out of Lucas's apartment, our hands entwined, our hearts lighter than they had been in years. As we stepped out into the cool night air, I knew that we were ready to face whatever came next. Together, Jamie and I were ready to build a life filled with love, with authenticity, with happiness. And so, the moment I realized he loved me, the moment I saw the love in his eyes, the moment I chose to live my truth openly, honestly, that moment was the best moment of my life. It led me on a journey of self-discovery, of growth, of love. It led me to Jamie, to a life lived openly and fiercely, to a happiness I never thought possible. If you're watching this, if you're listening to my story, know that it's never too late to live your truth. It's never too late to find love, real love, the kind that sets your soul on fire. So, subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and comment down below with your favorite part of the video. Share your stories, your journeys, your truths, because love in all its forms is worth fighting for. And remember, just like I realized, the moment you realize they love you, the moment you choose to live your truth, that moment could be the best moment of your life. Embrace it, live it, love it, because you deserve it. We all do.